Boom, baby, we're live. Welcome to Interview with the Man, episode 506. Modern women are lost. And I'm joined here by my new friend, Allie from Real Femme Sapien. Allie, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I am doing well. And these women are lost. Even if you gave them a GPS, they still wouldn't be able to find their way. So I am here for it.
Right. And I wanted to bring a girl on to talk about this because you're young, you're in, obviously the modern world, and you are such a breath of fresh air because guys know I don't kiss butt to anybody. I'm just trying to not cuss at the beginning. We'll cuss later. We can get demonetized. But I don't try to kiss, be a brown nose or blow smoke up anybody's rear end, But I've been watching your content and I found you completely by accident from watching Donovan Sharp, and you are really, really dialed in. You are so smart, and that is great because girls, these chicks are so lost in every sense of the way. So let's talk about you real quick. Give the guys an introduction, who you are, what you're about, the Real Femme Sapien brand, all that.
All right. Well, I'm Allie Drummond. I am a newlywed. I met my fiance, but basically, he went the build abroad route, gave me a chance, gave me some information, gave me time to change, and was basically checking progress reports because I should have been in the relationship and I loved him and he loved me, but I just couldn't figure out how to get along with a man long term. So basically, he laid out to me, if you do these things, I will marry you, but I won't marry you right now because you're a little bit off. I said, okay, because he doesn't lie. He's a very honest man. So I knew if I just did the stuff that it would work out. And so basically that's the route that I pursued. But I want to say one of the coolest things that I did was I read this book called The Proper Care and Feeding of Husbands. And
Mm.
it breaks down how men suffer silently in marriage. And I was like, oh no, is that really what's
Mm.
going on? Because I'm prior service military. So I had some idea for my coworkers. After I read that book, I basically tried to be as feminine as possible for 2 weeks just to see how he would respond. I'm a very experimental woman, and he was responding very exuberantly. So I just knew that that was my path. And I also knew that it was okay that I wasn't polished and that I had to take time to get there because not every woman has the two-parent household and the white picket fence. And I think that was really good for myself. And I'm proud that I did the work.
So tell me this. I want to go a little bit more into that, but let's just tell the guys, what is your goal with your brand? Because you're out there. I see the
Mhm.
girls you're co-promoting with. I like watching your stuff. I love your Instagram. Like, what is the goal? What is your general purpose here with your brand?
Well, that's going to sound cliche, but it's the betterment of society. It looks like I'm speaking to women, and that's true, but I'm trying to get to the children. And in order to get to the children, you need to get to the women because statistically, women are the primary caregivers. A lot of the complaints that men have about women is that they're pathological. It's not the modern woman, it's the pathological woman. But where is she learning that behavior from? Because even if dad's not home, okay, well, then she's learning how to be nuts from her mom. And I try to work against maternal narcissism because that's on the rise as well, where women are having
Mm,
children and their child is more of a sidekick. They're not getting any kind of emotional feedback, whether it's a girl or a boy.
yeah, yeah. Maternal narcissism. You want to go into what exactly is that?
So there is this sort of blue pilled lens when you look at women that these mothers are self sacrificial, that they're going to do everything and anything and everything for their kids. But in reality, what some of these children are going through is like back in the day, mom was addicted to Farmville. Can you imagine coming second to your mom's Facebook games? But even now, you'll see women are glued to their phones and their kids are trying to connect with them and they're just not letting it happen. Or they're so
Mm.
concerned with chasing these men, they can't focus 2 seconds on their kid, which I also see that that's an issue too. So just so everyone knows, I grew up in a lower socioeconomic status in Central Florida, and I grew up in a single mother home. But I noticed around me that there were a bunch of other single mother homes, and
Do
so
you,
I basically figured out that they're self-centered.
did you know I'm from Central Florida too? Where did you grow up?
No, oh my goodness. Okay, so I was born in Orlando, but I grew up in Kissimmee.
Okay, yeah, 'cause a lot of Puerto Ricans in Kissimmee. Are you Puerto Rican?
Yes.
Does your mom was your mom cleaning staff at Disney? No, I'm just joking.
No, no, she was always a medical secretary.
Yeah,
Hmm.
they're all down there though. That's funny. Yeah, so I was born in Miami, and I was raised in Miami from 1 to 13, and then from 13 to 26 I lived in Orlando. And I grew up in we were on like the Metro West side for a little bit, but then I moved to Winter Park area, but like
Mm.
on the outskirts of I lived in the ghetto outskirts of like the schooling district for Metro for Winter Park. That's funny. I had no idea. Um so you grew up poor. How was it? Was
Mhm.
it pretty bad, or how poor are we?
And poor in America is kind of a loose term. I'm definitely doing better than did better than anybody in a third world country. But in general, I just noticed that we always were jumping from one place to another. I went to 8 schools growing up just because
Yeah.
the rent prices would increase or what have you. So it's just really toxic. And there's some things that could have been different. I realize that my mother is human, but
Yeah.
we do have an obligation to do better for these kids, but that would require being honest with women. And I don't know if you've figured it out, but women seem to be allergic to accountability. So,
Yeah. No, we're gonna have a one hell of a show today. It's great because you're really speaking my language, because everything I've come to these conclusions to myself as a man. I'm so happy to see somebody, a woman, a young woman you're 27, right?
yes.
Yeah, so a young woman coming to these conclusions on her own, which is fantastic. It's a breath of fresh air, to be honest. So obviously I grew up in a single mother household, was a chaotic nightmare, bouncing from, like you said, house to house. I went to I think I went to 3 I went to no, I think I went 3 or 4 elementary schools, and I went to 3 different middle schools. And then I went
Hmm.
to 1 high school, thank God, because fucking Christ, I'd be a serial killer. Um, it was hard though, we lived out of the car for a couple days at one point. My mom was like addicted to Jesus too, and like the house was falling apart, but she was just like having to go to church, having to do some shit, like having to give money and tithe and sacrificial offerings to the church. And like I didn't have fucking lunch money. So it was just like, Mom, get it to fucking together. But I was a kid. I didn't have any power, but I kind of could see from like,
Hmm.
14 onwards. I was like, yo, have you lost your fucking mind? Was your single mother household upbringing kind of crazy and turmoil based and whatever?
Yes, there is a lot of turmoil. All the statistical stuff that the manosphere talks about, bringing a stepfather in the home, childhood neglect, all this, that, and the third. Yeah, it does happen. And I can at least empathize because I could see that it's difficult to be involved in your child's life if you're always having to work to pay the bills. But that's the thing. Like maybe have a child with a man that you're capable of staying with. Because I was a latchkey kid and
What
you
does
can't
that
even
mean?
do that anymore. Right. So a latchkey kid is basically your mom leaves all day long and you're home alone.
Same.
So I
Same.
right. I started taking care of myself when I was 7. I was in 2nd grade, cooking, cleaning, doing laundry, and pretty much everything. Was very self-sufficient, but that led me to have a lot of social deficits that to this day I'm still trying to work on. But yeah, I don't know why they think that this is normal or good or okay. Maybe because their girlfriends are lying to them. But it
Mm,
was definitely chaotic, and I am not going to try to repeat that at all because you have power to break intergenerational curses. I know women want to act helpless, but you, the women are banking on that they won't have a high IQ child. What happens if you have an intelligent child who is going to start asking questions? What answers are you going to have? I was young.
yeah.
You ruined my life. Like, what do you mean you were young?
So tell me this. You have any brothers, sisters, siblings?
I do. I've got two half brothers, my mother's side, and then I have two half brothers, I mean, two half sisters on my father's side. I
Mm,
only know my siblings on my mother's side.
Yeah, my brother, I'm the oldest, and then what are you, the middle, oldest, youngest?
I'm the oldest by a long shot. There's a 13-year age difference between me and my oldest younger brother.
Mm. Yeah, I'm the oldest, and my sister is after me, and then my brother is last, and we all have different dads as well. That was like, mom was maxing out the hypergamy meter. But for me, I just look at them as like my sister and brother. I don't know, it's weird, but yeah, like yeah, I just like some people want to say they watch my content and they surface layer judge me, say like, oh, this guy hates women, he doesn't understand, women are powerful, blah 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 blah. I'm like, no, I have been through the ringer of the single child, of the single mother household, and it's chaotic. It's fucking psychotic. It is like, for me, I just thought that like, oh, my childhood was like kind of rough. And then I started talking to some guys in my community, like the therapists, whatever, and they're like, yo, you are like a miracle. Like you should be dead, or you should
Mhm.
have kids everywhere. You should have been overdosed on drugs.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? So it's just like it's it's a zoo. It's a zoo. And I think the thing is this, in my opinion, right, is I think we're so far down this loop now because it all started with feminism, right? First generation feminism,
Mhm.
whatever, it was good, yada yada. They wasn't even a righteous cause. It was always to separate the family from the get go. And now you have women that are financially incentivized to divorce, right? And you have broken women raising broken women who are raising broken women, and it's like, when the fuck can it stop? And I personally, I don't think I have like a pretty fatalistic view of it. I think we're too far gone, and like we got to save who we can and live a good life in peace. But like, looking at these chicks, like I said, like the modern girl ingrained in Western culture is like so fucking lost. And
Mhm.
you mentioned that, you actually you were married before, like you had a prior marriage.
I did, yes. I got married when I was 20. I was coming out of a really rough situation, but
What
I
happened?
knew. Oh, well, just the single mother home put me through the ringer. So I joined the army and I thought, well, let me just marry a nice guy. Didn't
Mhm,
understand anything about polarity, didn't understand my role as a wife, his role as a husband. Actually, I think I had some kind of understanding because I got sick of it at some point and the law of diminishing returns was just not adding up for me. It's like I need to eject and save myself because I was really going to end up working for the rest of my natural born life. It's when somebody makes promises, but then they act different. I went with the actions and I said, I probably can't do this. But I wasn't a perfect wife either. I'm not going to sit here and put all that on him.
mhm,
I have to have some amount of accountability. And that's probably what helped me to get remarried in the first place was
mhm,
looking at what I did wrong because that's what's in
mhm,
my control.
mhm. So how long were you married to this guy?
5 years.
Oh wow, 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 wow. And
Mm.
were you like good wife? Were you faithful? Were you naughty or?
Oh, yeah, I was faithful. The thing is that I was a combative wife, but at the
Mm,
same time, people talk about the modern woman. Well, we also have the modern man who's coming from a single mother home who worships and idolizes his mother and lets her get in the middle of marriages at times. Like talk about simp 2.0, like how you simp over your mama.
yeah. Yeah. So okay, so you're in this marriage, and I remember you said there's a couple things you did wrong in the marriage, right? I
Mm,
think you mentioned like, you kind of gained some weight. I think, well, not kind of. I think you said you got fat, right?
yeah, I pulled the pin on the fat grenade. Plot. Yes. I did that, and I never thought I would do that. Honestly, I didn't even know I was fat until he stopped carrying me to bed, and I asked him why, and he said I was heavy.
Oh wow. How big did you
Mhm.
get?
I gained 45 pounds. I'm 5'4", and I went from
Hmm.
being 127 pounds when we got married, and then I was 166.6 toward the middle, and then I ended up losing all the weight. But that was also kind of a consequence because I ended up increasing my sexual market value, and I was not prepared for that. All the stuff that the ministry talks about, and they lay it out. A woman will do this, and then she will do this, and she will do this. I'm sitting back in hindsight. I'm like, oh, I literally did all of that.
What did you do?
I lost weight and then I saw him for who he was and then I bounced. like,
Okay.
hmm
What do you mean saw him for who he was?
So it's the thing where you're really young and you kind of idealize, I guess, a man, or really you idealize the nuclear family, the house, the children. So you think about that person's potential and you don't see their
Mm-hmm.
actual behaviors because you're enamored by them. But
Mm-hmm.
eventually, push comes to shove, and who they were the whole time comes to the surface. But women are kind of in denial about that for a little bit. And then once you see him for who he is, if that is not what you thought it would be, then it gets really uncomfortable. I've had a similar situation happen with my current husband, but when I saw him for who he was, I wasn't horrified. I
Mhm.
just figured, oh, he's a human being. These are some flaws, but these are also some really good things. But who I was when I was 20 did not end up being who I was when I was 25, which I think it's kind of a little bit of a problem where the manosphere talks about a woman should get married young. I think that's true, but I don't think most women know themselves for a very long time. And I think the earliest that you can make a safe bet for a woman knowing herself would be 24.
Mm.
Because most of these women are not well adjusted.
Mhm. Yeah, that's funny. That's what Paul from Apex Mindset. I don't know if you've ever talked to him, but he says like girls, like he says girls 23 and under, they're just not ready for a relationship, you know. And I think they just like, yeah. I mean, it's so tricky to like get into a relationship and have it be a happy thing, right? Because I'm not gonna lie. Like for me, like I was just like on the path of just like fucking everything that walked, right? Like I've slept with like 240 something plus girls, and I kind of learned like, okay, so girls who have like, validation issues, daddy issues, whatever, they get validation through having sex with a lot of guys, right? And it's more common because they have easier access to it. But for a lot of guys in the
Mhm.
red pill space, in the manosphere space, see, nobody comes to the red pill happy. We're not like, oh, like I'm fucking blissfully happy. Let me like type in hypergamy. Let me figure this shit out, right? You come here sad, broken, some kind of emotional relation based trauma. So a lot of these
Mhm.
guys are super traumatized. And what they'll do is they'll learn the ability to pick up girls, they'll learn game, but the only thing they know how to do is catch and release sluts, and they keep on doing it, and that's what I was doing, and I was like trying to fill like, my validation shit from like not having properly being loved by my mom,
Mhm.
and no having never meeting my dad and all that shit. I was using women nonstop as this external validation point. And I built my business, I made a bunch of money, I fucked a lot of girls, and I was like, wait a minute, like this is what everybody in the manosphere says, like get rich as fuck and fuck a lot of girls, and then you're going to feel whole, then you're going to feel happy, then you're going to feel good. And I bought the lie too, believing that shit. I now realize that the true, in my personal opinion, with what I know right now at 36 years old, that endlessly fucking a bunch of girls is not the way for men. I don't think it is. And it's certainly not the way for women as well. And I think it's time like we bridge the gap, like men and women have to like come together. And a big problem is it's just the culture is just like, it's like tells girls everything that's like terrible for them. Like go fuck a bunch of dudes. Men are shit. You don't need a man. Like abort that baby. You'll feel nothing. Just fucking kill it. And it's just like everything that they shouldn't do is what they're telling them to do, and it's fucking everybody up. What do you think about that?
And on the talking point about termination of pregnancy, the statistics that show the negative outcomes for women don't get publicized, even though it's freely available, that it leaves women at higher risk for immediate depression afterward. Okay. And that's a 50-50 shot, which kind of confused about the other 50%. Like, what's wrong with you, girl? But also, it can lead a woman to alcoholism as well, increased risk. So we just aren't actually getting facts. But I think that part of the reason why we aren't getting facts, I was thinking about this when I was running yesterday, is what would your girlfriends say if you were to tell them, actually, I'm very sad about some of the decisions that I've made sleeping with all of these men? Well, to make themselves feel better about them sleeping with a bunch of men, they would try to invalidate your point instead of validating your experience and empathizing with you. Everything for women is about self preservation. I try to tell women all the time that girlfriends don't exist. We're all waiting to get picked up by some guy. Whether or not he's going to be a lay or a husband, that's pretty much all we're waiting for. Because as a woman, if you ever notice, as soon as your girl meets a man and she's enamored by him, she bounces. She's gone poof, like in a mist of air.
Mhm.
And we have a hard time reconciling that as well. And you'll see that women too are uncomfortable. Well, the miserable ones, they're uncomfortable when their girlfriends leave and they try to reel them back in because they're upset that they're not getting that attention anymore. So I try to encourage women to have small social circles, to try to have feminine social circles, and it will require work. It's going to require you getting your act together, because to get in touch with higher quality people, you have to be a higher quality person. And I think some women haven't realized that yet. I didn't start making solid girlfriends until this year, and I'm really glad that I was able to do that. But the myth of the sisterhood is something that so many women are blue pilled on, because you will see when a woman is betrayed by another woman who's been her friend for years, something small happens, and all of a sudden she just absolutely stabs her in the back. These women are thrown, shocked, upset, depressed, anxious. They can't function because they actually thought that that woman would be her friend. It's really sad.
It is. And like I think another thing about the girls like that in general, I think that it's like a perfectly engineered system that's so fucking sick because the girls that have the highest potential for being good girls are super feminine, and super feminine girls don't fight back. And so
Hmm.
when the toxic girl comes at her and she's like, "No, that guy's bad for you." Like she's like, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't have done this. Maybe I shouldn't, I was texting other guys and maybe I shouldn't have done that. He made him upset." The other girl, like, "No, girl, don't you fucking dare. Like, he's just like toxic masculinity, blah, 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 blah." Like, for example, when I had my little episode, I said to her, I said, "Let me guess, your girlfriends are saying I'm a narcissist and I'm fucking toxic and abusive." She's like, "Did you check my phone? How did you know that?" I was like, "Because they're reading the American Horror Handbook." That's exactly what's happening. They're just spurting out the fucking garbage. And when she put out a post and she was like, "Oh, she put out like this nice post on Instagram saying, like, we're together. I'm so happy, blah, blah, blah." Her friend, the miserable one, sent her like this diatribe, guys, like a 4 paragraph. I'm happy for you, but I'm not happy for you. And like just like giving her feelings on a relationship. And I'm just like, you loser. What the fuck? Like, it's clear that nobody loves you, but like, why are you so involved? What is like, it's pathetic. It's pathetic and it's sad. But at the same time, like, I don't know. These girls do it to themselves. I'm kind of evil, Allie. Okay. I look at these modern girls and I laugh. I'm just like, I love watching you suffer. I love it. I love it. The ones that want to get better and that have the humility and the reverence and the accountability to be like, okay, like I need to change. Like something's wrong with me
Hmm.
and I want to get better. Those kind of girls, my heart goes out to them. I'll help them out. You'll help them out. But the ones that are like want to be turbo whores to the grave, like good luck. Good luck, because the future is not looking great. I think society in America isn't ready for this like marching wave of single women that's coming, because like a lot of girls are so single and they're going to be like that forever.
Hmm. Well, I just think it's rude. Like, they're going to be depending on social safety nets. So I have to pay for you to live because you decided not to get a man or have children and you didn't invest. If you're not going to get a man or have kids, at least get a 401k. Just do yourself some diligence, okay? And they want us to foot the bill. And that's something that I'm not okay with. And these women are, this is how delusional they are. They don't understand that they're going to be in a nursing home, okay, and these women who will be taking care of them are getting paid $8 to $10 an hour. You think they're going to be giving you optimal care, and then they're going to be shocked when they encounter things like elder abuse. I think women just, young people, don't seem to think that they will ever age, but it's
Mhm.
going to happen anyway, whether you're in denial about it or not. And they will crap on traditional women who decided to get married and have children and validate their husband. We get a lot of heat, and it doesn't even make sense for me. Well, it actually does make sense, because a lot of these women, if they just had a man, they wouldn't be so preoccupied with what other women are doing with their lives, but they're just upset that you got it. I've
Sending
been,
diatribes over Instagram.
mhm. Well, it's my husband and I, we have some common female friends and they're a little bit older, and you can see the way that they have shifted their perspective of myself and him. They're more so unhappy with us. And I get that. I get that. Women are not honest about how unhappy they are when other women succeed. I actually did a video about this, what it's actually like to be childless when you don't want to be. I'm not happy when I see my girlfriends getting married and getting pregnant, because I wanted that. But now that I'm on my way to working on it, I have a little bit less resentment. But women won't
Mm.
share those things out loud out of fear of judgment. It's like we want ourselves to look good and we oppress our own emotions, but then we'll blame society for when we can't be who we are.
Talking about pretending to be something to society. I don't think I've ever told you this, but I got a story. So I used to date this girl, right? She was beautiful. She was a Chinese girl and she had a great body. She was really pretty. She was a feminist,
Mhm.
right? And so, full disclosure, full evil MLD, okay? She, on her Bumble profile, she said like Chinese feminist, and I was like, I'm gonna break this girl. And I swiped right on her, and I matched with her, and I got like, I got I like she was putting my shoes on. She was taking care of me. Like she threw the feminism right out the window, right? While we were together. We were dating for like 6 months, and at the first 6 months, right, we were dating. It was really, really like a fight every week, or not a fight, excuse me, fight every month. Like she was just really combative, really kind of
Mhm.
toxic. At the time, I was like using toxic game myself too, and so toxicity, even if you're faking it, it does pull you in, right? But keep in mind, I'm like you. Like I came from nothing. I built myself up to, multi-million dollar earner, cryptocurrency. My everything is, I've done the work, right? And she would badmouth me and she would talk shit to me and be like, you're this and you're that, and you're this. And she would pull these little jabs out of me and just like dig around and act like she was impervious, right? Act like there was nothing ever wrong with her. She was the shit. She was on her ivory tower looking down at me, right? So 6 months into the relationship, I realized like, oh fuck, I've never been to her house. I've never been inside her house. I was like, and then I started getting suspicious. And I was like, wait a minute, are you married? Is there somebody living at home with you? Right. And we got into this huge fight. And turns out, right, we get to her front door. I'm like, open that fucking door right now. She's like, no, my house is just kind of messy. That's why I don't want to let you in, right? Keep in mind, massive feminist, putting hashtag me too, talking about, men are this and men are that and blah, 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 blah. Like, and it always like I said, picking at me, cherry picking wounds and trying to just make me feel bad about myself, right? So she cracks the door open and she opens it. I'm a man, so I was like, boom, fucking open the door, went inside her house. She was a hoarder. She's a hoarder. Okay. And I'm talking like 5'8" level of shit in her place. In the bathroom, pad on the floor, hair everywhere, bottles of Coca-Cola, kitchen completely trash, bathroom completely trash. And I was like, part of me was justified. I was like, I knew this bitch was full of shit. I knew something was up. I knew it. And on her digital front, she has like a Chinese feminist fucking Weibo account, and she's talking about men are shit, and men are this, and men are that. And I'm like, bitch, you talking all this fucking shit, and you live in a dumpster. And that kind of thing that's more common. These girls, like I said, and
Mhm.
you're a girl, they put on a massive front, but behind the scenes, their lives are a fucking mess, a total mess. Have you ever any experience with that with girls, and whatnot? Not to that extreme, but
I just know that they're miserable behind the scenes. So we'll do this one story time where a woman seemed to be upset about how I was leading other women. She told me that I need to be careful advising women considering that I am divorced and I wasn't married yet, because the issue was that I didn't have financial security from my husband when we were in, how can I put this? When I was engaged to my husband, he was financially supporting me. A lot of women don't like that, and they assume that women are somehow taking the risk in that relationship, that he's just going to leave you high and dry for absolutely no reason. It wouldn't
yeah.
be that I did something wrong. And the reality is that he was taking a lot of risk, that if I wanted to bother some court system and maybe make up some common law nonsense, I could have. But she didn't have that awareness or is just in denial about it. So she was saying that I was basically an idiot for financially depending on him. I've gotten so much heat for staying home. It's ridiculous. But this was a woman who got beta bucks. And let me tell you this, she used to
Mm,
be a heroin addict. When she was a heroin addict, she got pregnant by another heroin addict. She cleaned up her act, tossed the baby daddy to the side, and then she ends up marrying this troll who's really good at finance, right? And she's got borderline personality disorder. So I know her marriage is in shambles, but the guy is just so desperate to solve this reproductive issue. Okay, so that is the quality of woman coming at me, shaming me for being young and divorced and advising other women as if I don't have information that maybe might be helpful. I don't want women to go out there and be married for 5 years, waste her time, waste that man's time to find
mhm.
out some things that they could have learned through my experience. And I'm not going to stop talking about it anytime soon. I think people, well, women try to actually, let me reword this. Low value people try to shame people who have made mistakes and learned from them, and they will always point toward the mistakes instead of something better. And I don't have to be modest. I can be proud of my accomplishments. I don't talk about this a lot, but I was actually homeless living in my car and I was experimenting with substances. So for me to go from that into being who I am today, I don't need to be humble. And I also don't need to sit here and prove step by step why would I say it works. You can either listen and take it in, or you can be miserable on your own. Like, it's up to you. I don't have any dog in this fight. I have my husband. I plan on having children. We have a good life together. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's the thing. I think people who have been down and out in life are really more grounded. And now that you told me that, it makes a lot of sense because, like I said, same thing. I have been down and out. I have lost all my money. I have been heartbroken. I have fucking nearly overdosed on drugs. Like I have maxed out my life meter. I've done it all. But the thing is, when you have that point of reference, when you can be very low in life and like super super super, I mean, where's lower than living out of a car and experimenting with drugs, which I had to live out of a car when we were little for a little bit, and then I've experimented with drugs, and then to kind of come out of that and be like normal. And not only that, but like I was telling somebody, like, it's gonna sound so Disney and so fucking cliche, but turn your pain into something that can help people and for the betterment of society. That's what you said. Because like there's a lot of guys in the manosphere who like to make clickbait, fear-based shit. Like, all women are fucking sluts. They're all like that. And every woman is a ticking time bomb of cheating on you and fucking cucking you. And they're all just like, women are like sitting around like, like, we're gonna fucking ruin these guys' lives. And it's like, it's psychotic to think that, because girls are not like that. Are girls like, you know, emotionally driven and sometimes like fucking dumb with their decisions? Absolutely. But so are guys, right? I mean, so
Hmm.
sitting there and just like creating this like boogeyman is not going to help anybody. So that's why I really hate like the MGTOW movement and the black pill movement, because all you do is sit around and bitch, and it's just like we're fucking men. Like, you have to pull yourself out of your shit, and then you're gonna have to, if you're gonna get in a relationship with a girl, you're gonna have to pull her out of her shit and lead her, and continuously do that until you die. Because if you don't, somebody else will. And that's a big part of being a man, is being a leader, because if you don't lead the relationship, it's gonna fall apart. Like, you have to lead as a man.
Hmm. And as a woman, too, you have to be willing to be led. And if you're coming from a lower socioeconomic status, a lot of women are in survival mode, so they're only used to being masculine. When they have a nice, well, when they have an honorable man who shows up and says, "I will help you," a lot of the times
Mhm.
just want to smack his hand away. Why would you do that? That's suspicious. Why are you so kind and helpful? This is
Yeah.
confusing for me. But you do have to have that come to Jesus meeting and take that leap of faith, because what happens if you fumble some? What happens if you fumble the play as a woman? What if another man isn't coming? So you better do some type of work, some due diligence to try to help yourself out and build something with a man. And I think women too, they think, for one, that a man is just going to fall in their lap, but two, they don't really think about how they plan on validating their boyfriend or soon to be husband. They think that it's just going to be this walk in the park. They're not going to have to
Mhm.
do anything. Their career can come first. He can come second, all of this and that. And that's just not true. There are things that I do for my husband that women have never done for him. In fact, a lot of these things would shock him. That's how deprived these men are. Women, if you're watching and you're taking a boyfriend seriously, go out of your way and just do something nice for him for a day and watch him about keel over, because they just can't handle it, because it doesn't happen a lot. So I actually wake up every morning at 6 a.m., sometimes 7 a.m., and I make my husband breakfast, hot breakfast, and I make him lunch. And if I end up waking up late, I will literally make him the lunch and then drive it to his job. There is just no way that he's not going to get cared for. But food is one component. The other thing is also just leaving him alone. For some reason, men seem to need this solitude and confinement to themselves. They want to be next to us, but not right next to us. We can be all the way over there. So that's something else that I do. And also, I don't try to emasculate him.
Yeah.
Women who try to resort to that is just foolish, because they're shooting themselves in the foot. I understand it's usually an ish test, but you can ish test a man to the point of no return. And I don't think women know when to call it good on that.
No, they don't. where did you learn these things? Because like, for me, like when I bring girls into my life, like, you know, it's like sex is just a standard. I'm going to get sex from you if we're going to be entering something, right? And then that's not enough. Like sex is the entry, like the what do you call it? Like the cost of admission to the nightclub. And then
Mhm.
you gotta fucking like, you gotta pay for drinks, you gotta pay for shots, you gotta pay for VIP. So when girls come into my life, like I start letting them know, like I start asking, like, what can you do? Can you cook? Can you clean? Like, I don't get involved with girls if I'm not interested in them. Like, you
Mhm.
know, if she's a pump and dump, she's gonna know pretty quick. But I like girls that I can see somewhat of a potential with, right? So I teach them like, well, this is what I like done this way. I like, I want you to cook for me. I want you to clean up after we're cooking, right? I set some boundaries and standards for my house. And
Mhm.
what guys don't seem to know is that girls, they will abide by your rules if one, you're man enough to fucking lay down the law, and two, you're man enough to actually enforce it. You know what I mean? Because I tell them like, if like with my girl, when I'm with her, I'm like, if she cusses, I'm like, look, that's disgusting. Like, don't fucking cuss around me. I don't deal with it. Like, you can text your friends like a man and shit, but like, don't talk to
Mhm.
me like that. Like, I want to date a lady, right? Um, cooking, cleaning, like the standard of cleaning too. Like if she leaves some shit in the refrigerator, like, or in the sink, I'll be like, that's got to clean now because I don't want fucking cockroaches. I have had cockroaches before. It's nasty. So
Mhm.
clean that
Mhm.
now. And the thing is, I think girls find like safety and security when you, as a man, like set some rules and like set some boundaries. What is your experience with that?
First of all, I mean, people in general enjoy a routine, whether it's a woman or a man. So it's good to set that you set the routine for your relationship so she knows what she can expect. Women don't like being surprised. It's terrifying. It's going to increase our anxiety. It's going to increase our masculinity. We want a normal, dependable man. That's if you are a wife material kind of woman, because some women, they can't help it. They just crave in the chaos. To me, I'm like, my blood pressure can't handle this. I want something predictable. And it is important that men lay down the law because it sets the standard for the rest of the relationship. And you don't have to be mean about it. So, my husband, basically, if I say something, if I ask for something, that's what's going to happen. And it can be something so silly like, I want to go to this Mexican restaurant. Then he just, okay, you want to go there? Cool. And he turns the car, and I'm like, like, well, I mean, I didn't really want to go there. Like, please don't make me live by my life decisions. So he just kind of always has it like that. If I say something, it happens. One time I texted him, I don't remember what was going on, but I was like, I want to move out. He was like, all right, bet. I came home from work and all my stuff was in the hallway. I was like, how could he do this? But now I just know to literally say what I actually want and to know what I want before I say it. And that's not a bad thing or a bad lesson to be taught because now we have very clear and concise communication. Now, sometimes I still get in my feelings as a woman and I get a little bit confused. Now I get to the point where if I actually don't know what I want, I just say that. And then he gives me some space or he gives me some ideas. And if I'm not taking it, then he just walks away because he's like, I don't have time for that right now.
Yeah.
Um, but I learned how to be feminine from that book, The Proper Care and Feeding of Husbands,
Hmm.
because it just shows that little acts of appreciation and little adjustments in behavior, men are quicker to respond to a woman's change than a woman is to respond to a man's change. And women don't understand how bad it is. For example, I try to paint it this way. Right now in America, there is a wife who will cook for her dog, but will not cook for her husband. And these are things that are actually going on where a man is essentially a sidekick and he can't even leave because it's cheaper to keep her. Women don't understand that they have autonomy over the quality of their relationships, but part of that is feminist indoctrination that goes in between you're empowered, but you're also oppressed. Well, if I'm both of these things, when can I assume responsibility for the state of my relationship? It's hard on both sexes, I would say, but we just have to get more women on board. They're just absolutely brainwashed. They can't even see it. I don't know where their expectations for men are coming from because you'll look at the list, and this is the standard list that I've had, that I've heard from women that I work with or some of my girlfriends, and it's he has to be funny, he has to be smart, he has to be energetic, he has to be fit, he has to be wealthy, he has to be young. That's actually a lot to ask for in one
Tall,
person. Oh,
tall.
tall and emotionally intelligent. This is what they want. And they think that they can go out and get these things. And at best, I mean, maybe you'll get three. So I try to tell women to date off of three values versus dating off of preferences, because preferences won't make a marriage work. I'm very pro marriage. I know that the manosphere is not because of the way that the courts are set up. And I think that's true and that's fair. And I would like to politically do something about it, send letters out to congressmen. But at the same time, I'm not sure that the powers that be would benefit from us giving men more autonomy in the court system. Because if you think about it, men, in a sense, allowed this to happen. Not your average guy, but the men that were in power, they wanted to stay in power. I'm talking about lawyers, I'm talking about politicians. So, what are they going to do to keep women's votes? Give them free stuff, give them men's money. It's ridiculous. And women, it's almost a little bit sociopathic, psychopathic. They will get divorced and then use their ex husband's money to go on a girls' trip to sleep with a new guy. It's absolutely bananas. And it's not okay. As much as women want to pretend like it's okay, that is insane.
Yeah.
And that would make you a crazy lady.
Yeah. So let me ask you this then, right? Because you're young, you're in the scene, you're out there, you're on the ground.
Mhm.
Why do so many women in America, in your opinion, why do they fucking hate men? Because these bitches literally hate men. They hate them.
It's because they're stupid. Okay,
Look at
I'm
this. Look,
serious.
shout out
Mhm.
Mark. Mark just sent us $100. Great show. A woman who gets it. Rare and refreshing. Mark he's 61. He's been around and he's a very, very wise guy. But that's it. He doesn't give out compliments, easily like that. So, but yeah, I mean, the stupid is it like I
Yeah, yeah, I can
yeah,
explain. I can
please
explain.
do.
So, a lot of the problems that these women are having, it's seriously the 20% hot dudes. What are the chances that you are going to get a virile young man who can basically go out there and has a free access to punani to settle down and commit with you? What are the chances? But at the same time, women don't want to date anybody that's a little bit older than them. Also, they don't even know it's an option. There are women in college right now that don't know that they can go out and date a 35-year-old man, a 36-year-old man. It's never even entered their mind. And it's the women that are on these apps that are saying men are trash. And I made a Tinder for research lately. I'm having so much fun with it. Oh my goodness, it's so bad. So I'm looking through to look at the quality of men because I wanted to see is what the men are saying are correct. Because I go based off of biology. When I am rating if a man is suitable, I listen to my body. Is he attractive? Is he not attractive? Would I want to have his kids if I was a single woman? If the answer is yes, I'm like, okay. So I'm going through and I'm looking. It's literally like 1 out of every 10 men is worth something. Okay, so then women are going to swipe on them, and women swipe differently than men. Women will swipe on the most attractive man, but men will swipe on almost every woman and then do a pre-selection process, see who says yes, see who sparks conversation, and then they will go from there. But women aren't aware of that. So all half the time they're complaining about men are trash, they're just saying that Chad is trash because your
Yeah.
average guy, they're not a problem, they're not an obstacle, they don't even see them. It's like walking past a decorative painting. You don't notice that guy. It doesn't
Yeah.
exist to you, but they don't understand that. And they also still think that most men are having sex. And you and I already know that it's 1 in 3, 1 in 5. So they're just removed from reality. But the biggest issue is the applications that they're using. Because even Instagram can be a dating app, and women don't look at it that way. What women say they want to meet a man, they say they want to meet him in person, but what do they actually do? They're meeting them primarily online, and it's going to be Chad and Tyrone. And they are not always interested in settling down. Like my husband. My husband is 50 right now. I met him a couple of years ago, and when we were dating, he was 49. I look at the pictures of him when he was buff and ripped at 30. I don't think that man would have settled down with anybody. There's just no way. No way. So they're complaining about Chad. They have no idea that your average guy out there is decent. Also, who these women think are average are not average. So I try to promote that women pursue blue collar men as well because they're not aware of it because you don't see it in the media. There's no rom com out there about some hot, sexy plumber. It's usually a rom com about a lawyer or a doctor. But in reality, these blue collar men in the United States, electricians, plumbers, carpenters, they are making six figures. So that, but women still, because it's not a glamorous position, they will think that that man is average. They have no idea how men really are or even how the world is. Like I keep hearing from women that the patriarchy is real. I'm like, Like, how? I'm pretty sure we are at least running the dating scene. Women are running the dating market, men are running the world. That's my perspective on it, but that's my little tirade.
No, and another thing is this. So I'll tell you from a man's side, okay? From a man's
Mhm.
perspective, when we download dating apps, okay, we're not like, it's time to meet a good girl. We're like, it's time to fuck some sluts. That's exactly when we download Bumble, when we download Tinder, we're not like, I'm gonna find a girlfriend. We're like, I'm going to fuck these girls and never talk to them again. That's the majority of guys. We get on dating apps because we know that these chicks are easy and dumb. Because look, Allie, how easy is it to catch a man, really? Like, we're pretty dumb. We're pretty easy to catch. Like,
Mhm.
feed us, be loyal, don't be so fucking annoying, and pick up when I call you. Like that's pretty much it. Right?
Mhm.
Don't go out whoring yourself out. But these girls don't even know the simplistic nature of men and how easy it is just to catch us and keep us. So when we go on dating apps, we look like we make fun of these chicks. We're like, look at this girl. I'm gonna fuck this girl. You know, we take pride in telling our friends how quickly we fucked a girl off a dating app. You know, the sooner the better. And the more like ridiculing we are of the girl when we do it. And that's the hard side of it. But these girls, a lot of girls are, like you said, are like fucking delusional. They don't understand that we're not on dating apps. Like the guy that you want isn't on a dating app looking for love. He's looking for tons and tons and tons of pussy. And so again, it's just like it's a perfect storm set up against these chicks. I feel bad for them.
Mhm. This is the part that's delusional. It's so sad because women don't know where they stand on the sexual market side of things, which I understand. It's not fun to call yourself a four if you are a four.
Yeah.
Also, we have control over aging well, just so women know. You
Mhm.
can still be attractive at 30 if you set your
Mhm.
mind to it early. But
Mhm.
I had a woman inbox me and she was basically talking about how Tinder is trash. And
Yeah.
I was shocked because I'm looking at her and below average at best. I'm not trying to be rude. There is just some facts in life. Sometimes genetics are not kind. And
Yeah.
I was astonished. Of course, you are going to think that Tinder sucks because you are going to be the woman that is there when it's 2 a.m. and he doesn't want to do any work to get a lay. He's going to swipe on you because he knows he can have you. And she hasn't even really been around the block or anything. She seems like a normal woman, but your normal woman is absolutely removed from reality. I don't see why she would pursue a dating app. And hypergamy is on steroids right now. I can't even. I could go on and on about how women are just making the worst decisions in men and then blaming all men for it. But then if a man tried to blame all women for how he got played, well, then it's a problem. And women, we be doing some crazy stuff like keying a car, slashing tires, burning your stuff, throwing your PS5 out the window. Men can't
Mhm.
do that because a man will go to jail.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's exclusive to the West. Like girls over here would never ever ever do that shit in Asia, in, you know, this part of the world. Um One thing that and I'll be talking about this later this
Mhm.
month on today's show, because the theme of March is Modern Women March. So I'm just gonna be talking about modern women. And so what blows my mind is how girls, okay, this is the cycle they go on. They go on a dating app, right? They're looking for love. And what guys want is a woman who preserves her value, right? But she goes
Mhm.
out and she fucks a bunch of dudes, but she doesn't know every dude that she fucks, like, it lowers her value in the guy's eyes. Like it's hard for guys to stomach the fact, like, if a girl has been around. It's very, very hard. Like, you have to find an older guy, more mature, who kind of looks at the grand picture of life, and we're all gonna die fucking one day, so none of this shit really matters. But most guys are gonna be like the word really is repulsed. Like, we are repulsed by chicks who do that. And we have a culture that's like telling these girls, like, body count doesn't matter, weight doesn't matter, your personality doesn't matter. These,
Mhm.
like, basically society is telling chicks to be the biggest pieces of shit, yet they deserve Prince Charming. And it's just, I don't it leaves
Mhm.
me like this, like, at a loss for words, because it's so clearly a bad decision to be made, yet they're all participating in it, and I'm just like, I don't even know.
Mhm.
How do girls feel? Like, what is your opinion? Like, girls, like modern girls, feel about their body count? Do they really feel like it doesn't matter?
They feel like you're rude for even asking, but they don't understand that really just comes down to if you're a safe bet for paternity or not. They don't want to understand that. And honestly, most of the women that I know aren't actually happy for casual sex. I advocate for monogamy because that's probably the best way that you can ensure that you're going to get what you came for when it comes to the O for women, although
Mhm.
they don't necessarily believe that. So I wanted to talk about the fact that being a good girl is boring and it does require a lot of delayed gratification because
Mhm.
you don't get the attention. And I'm fine with not having attention right now, but a couple of years ago, it's all I wanted. But at the same time, I didn't like showcasing my body. And so it would be frustrating to sit there, be covered up, be a good girl, mind your business, not go to bars because I wanted people to like me. I wanted people to think I was cool. I wanted to live a fun life. I actually partied. I think I was 15 to 19 years old, and I partied a little bit in college for a year or two, but I was miserable. I wasn't happy. I was just drinking my life away for what? Because I thought that I had to party. I thought that being a young woman in America, that's what you're supposed to do so that you can have a good time with friends. At the same
Mhm.
time, being a good girl, it's like your friends don't want to go bowling with you. They don't want to go hiking with you. I just made girlfriends this year who would go hiking with me. That's how sad it is. These women
Yeah.
don't want to do anything but get drunk and chase dudes. And
Mhm.
that can be frustrating for you as a woman who's trying to live a different life, but it's just part of it. And I wanted to talk about the whole promiscuity and the pair bonding thing. I think the problem more so is that the more men you sleep with, the more chances you have a higher chance of running into the guy that is the best sex of your life. Okay. But if you don't get that commitment from him and then later on you try to date, you're always going to know that the person that you are with is not the best sex of your life. That's why I try to encourage women to pursue wholesome chat because you really need that physical attraction and being satisfied in the bedroom to be incentive for arguments. If I wasn't attracted to my husband in the way that I am and is very serious, I don't know that I would have tolerated some of the ups and downs of our relationship. And that's what I think pair bonding would be. And men, if you're trying to wife a girl up, trying to have her glued to you, seriously, put it on her. Put it on her. Because that is the biggest complaint I see from men. She's been ran through, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, look, man, you just got to throw it down. And if you can't, well, then that's on her. She's just gonna have to die alone.
Yeah. No, and that, it's funny. I've had that happen before. I've dealt with a chick who, like, because for me, look, straight up, I am not one of these guys who will fuck a girl for an hour straight. Like, I'm in it for the orgasm. Like, as soon as she gets her orgasm, I'm out. And I'm a businessman. I'm trying to make fucking hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't have time to sit there and pump away at some girl for an hour straight. This girl that I was dating, she had dated a guy who, like, fucked her for like an hour straight, and I could tell that she just wasn't fully sexually satisfied by me. And I was just like, look, like, that's your life. You fucked this up. Like I said, you can hit him up, you can go back to him. But where did the guy live? Some fucking shithole, like, had no job, had no interest, or no, had a job, but like had no money, was not really interested in her. And it's just like, I'm just like, that's you when these girls alpha widow themselves, it's fantastic that you brought that up. That's the thing. When these girls go out and sample a bunch of dudes, they may date a guy that's super rich, but maybe he's not that great in bed. And then they meet a guy that's like great in bed, but maybe he's like kind of an asshole. And then they meet a guy who is great relationship material, doesn't make as much money, dick game so, and all she does is further make herself unlovable and undateable. And they don't even realize what they're doing. Like, to an extent, ignorance is bliss because you fucking can't have it all. And that's what these girls want. They want it all. The thing that cracks me up, right? For example, myself, literally self-made millionaire, right? Good looking, 36, still young, still young in manland, in good shape, financially free, remote work. I have like a network of men across the planet who fucking love me and respect me, and I love and respect too, right? I'm the fucking shit. And she's mad because, well, sometimes I don't communicate with her as effectively as I should. And it's like, bitch, I'm a fucking self-made millionaire. Like, you're crying in my penthouse right now. Are you serious? But they're
Mhm.
delusional. They and that's from sampling all the fucking dicks.
Mhm. That I would say that's part of it. In terms of getting irritated about masculine men, my husband, sometimes he talks to me like a man, and I'm just like, I can't take this harsh reality right now. Like, can you please? Like, I'm still a woman. I'm a smart woman. I am mostly rational, but still, can we be kind? But
Yeah.
that's just something that you work on back and forth. There's some things that he's just not going to change, though. But part of that is frame. If you keep changing and changing and changing for a woman, she's going to end up leaving you. Robert Kiyosaki talks about that, where he did the betatization by 1,000 concessions. That's real. You do not want to do that.
Yeah, no, 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 no. And it's because the thing is, you're constantly conceding to a creature that really doesn't know what the fuck she wants. Like, bottom line, like, they just don't know what they want, and it's asinine to consistently chase after a woman's validation. Like, guys are afraid to be like, no, like, no, fuck off, we're not going to do that, and that's just the way it is. I mean, it's because I don't want to do it. The girls, they think that they have to give the girls everything in the relationship. They have to give them everything they want, and if they don't, like, she's going to leave them. And like I said, it's just, it makes no sense. But I think, again, it all goes back to the household, the family. A lot of girls, I mean, you came from, like, you know what it's like to be in a chaotic Puerto Rican family, even if that mom and dad are home, right? And there's always some
Mhm.
kind of fight or some kind of drama, or fucking
Mhm.
Tito did this, or TT did that, whatever, right? And there's always some kind of drama. So when they date a person, like, let's just say, like, they date like a guy, like a regular white boy comes to, like, a regular normal white family, everybody's cool, everybody's chill, like, they get uncomfortable with the peace, and they need some drama, they need to stir up some shit. But that happens across all the races. So yeah, for guys, really, that's why I'm telling guys, like, you absolutely have to know how to manage a relationship and understand how to manage a woman, because a woman, in my opinion, does need to be managed to an extent. Like, I'm pretty sure you defer to your husband for a lot of things because you, quite frankly, don't know what to do. Am I right?
I think it depends because I'm not chained up in here. I have autonomy. I
Yes,
am
of course.
basically pretty much just asked to not behave in any way that is detrimental to our relationship. As long as it's not detrimental, then we're pretty much good to go. But there are things that I ask him. I don't know how people are going to interpret this, but I
Hmm.
genuinely ask him fashion advice. Should I wear this dress? Should I wear that one? Should I have this
Hmm.
lipstick? Is this lipstick too strong? What should I do with my hair? And he'll tell me, but women would think that that is him dressing me up like a doll, but in reality I actually really enjoy his fashion sense and I want to hear about it. But there's other things too. So for example, like sometimes it's hot, I actually don't feel like wearing a bra, and there's some fabrics that you can get away with and there's some patterns that you can get away with too, right? That you don't see that. So I'll put it on, I'm like, hey, am I showing, am I not showing? He says, yeah, you're showing. I'm like, okay, let me go put something on. And those are just normal points of concession because some women these days, they would battle with him about not wearing a bra. I'm like, girl, come on. There are bigger things to argue about. When it comes to major life decisions, of course, I absolutely defer to him. I tell him all the time because sometimes he'll ask me what I want and I don't know what I want. So I'm like, no, this is on you. Whatever you want, that's what's going to happen. And women, too, sometimes we just need a decision to be made. It doesn't matter necessarily that it's the right one or the wrong one because you don't know sometimes until a man chooses and then you see the outcome, but we just need you to make a choice because we're riddled with anxiety and we want a path. It doesn't matter what the path is. And we trust you to make a reasonable decision.
Right. And that's what I say. Like, sometimes if, like, I'm dealing with a girl or something, and they'll be like, trying to take the lead. I'm like, okay, how about this? You lead the relationship. Where are we going? Where are you going to take us? Honestly, if your husband came up to you, where would you go? Like, do you even know? Like, do you know where to start?
No, I don't want to be in charge. No way. I know I'm going to fumble the play. I fumbled it myself for many years. That's the thing too about a competent leader is that he produces good results. That's why it's easy to submit to him. Now, if
Hmm.
you submit to the wrong guy, that's on you for being a pendeja. Okay, you got to
Hmm.
make wise decisions with the man that you choose to lead you. But his results are just better than mine. Now, in some situations where my results are better, then I'll take a leadership role. But that's normally about social nuance, how he's handling his female coworkers, things like that.
And stuff he'll typically ask you for. You wouldn't, like,
Mhm.
interject and be like, hey, this is the way you need to do it, right?
Oh, definitely not. He wouldn't tolerate it anyway, even if I
Mhm.
tried. It wouldn't happen.
Good for him. Good for him. Um, Another thing I wanted to ask you is this, right? How would you recommend to girls to like unsingle themselves? Because I think a lot of these girls, I'm going to be talking about this later this week or later this month as well, is like they just get so used to being like single and like they want to act single, but yet they want to have a relationship. Like it doesn't fucking work that way at all.
Mhm.
Do you give advice to girls like how to unsingle themselves? Like, like trying to make a decision for you guys or making a decision independently of her boyfriend or her man or something. What is your thoughts on that?
Normally, I just try to flip the script on them and give the male perspective, and sometimes it makes sense, and sometimes it doesn't, but then that's just a woman who's doomed. She's gonna end up breaking up with a guy anyway. I can see it from a mile away that it's not gonna work out. Really, what I try to do is harp on to women that they will be old one day. Whether you believe it or not, you will be 60 if you are fortunate enough to make it there. Do
Mhm.
you want a husband by your side? Because children are not the same as somebody holding you in bed and being there for you, intimate, romantic, emotional. Because men are more than wallets, believe it or not, they are. And
Mhm.
so, are you setting yourself up to have a relationship in old age? Don't think about what you want in your 20s. You need to think in the long term. Because if you focus on what you want in your 20s, then you're just going to get a little bit lost in the sauce. But women have to unsingle themselves just through empathizing with men and seeing it from their perspective. So, on the perspective of women withholding sex from their partners, they think that it's okay. They think that they shouldn't have to sleep with their husbands, that it's just so sometimes they even say it's marital EPAR. I'm looking at you like, girl, come on, like get it together. You're being bananas. So what I tried to tell them is that are you suggesting to sequester your husband to self pleasure for the rest of your marriage or the rest of your life or the rest of his life? Do you think that that is a sustainable model? Really,
Mhm.
that sounds kind of cruel. I look at it as a violation of vows if a wife doesn't sleep with her husband, because that is part of the reason that a man marries a woman is sexual loyalty.
It's a
It's not
sexual
like he,
contract.
yeah, yeah, but we keep telling women it's not, that he's marrying you for your personality. I'm like, no, at the end of the day, every guy's trying to get laid, whether there's a ring on it or not. At the end of the day, that's what's going on. So that's just what I try to do. So, men, I guess if you're watching, try to logically reframe it, her positions, and see if she'll listen to it. Because I've gotten a lot of women on board. They're like, oh, I never thought of it that way. Or they don't realize that they're bad wives. That's the thing, too. If you were to look at a wife who genuinely loves her husband, because keep in mind, she most likely loved him on their wedding day. She wanted to marry him for a reason. If you were to tell him that, one, you're actually a bad wife, two, he thinks that you hate him, they would absolutely lose it. They would be crushed and in tears because they actually care for this man. And this is hoping that she's not sociopathic, psychopathic, or absolutely pathological. But I find oftentimes women don't even get the feedback from their male partners or from their family or from feminism. It's basically just do whatever you want, and if he's not okay with it, then he's the problem. That's not true. I feel bad saying this, but I think most of the time, like, we're the problem. If you're
It's
with a
true
good
though. It's it
man,
it's like
yeah.
I mean, sorry, it is true though. Takes a lot of balls to say that, but good for you. Go ahead.
Oh, I mean, that's pretty much it. Is just letting women understand that men are human, and some of the things that we accuse men of, they're biologically wired that way. For example, stoicism, he's stone cold, he's not emotional enough, he's emotionally absent. That's not true. Men have emotions, they just look different. Right?
Mhm.
And also men need different things. So my husband too, check this out. He didn't know that he wanted a traditional relationship. He wanted some sort of physicist triathlete at one point in time. He didn't
Mhm.
realize that he would actually have a lot of life fulfillment from provisioning for me, protecting me. That gives him
Right.
purpose. He enjoys doing it. And women don't even understand that part of men either. They do like to work for things, just be worth the work. I don't think that's that hard to ask for. Women, if you're watching, just look out there, look at your average woman. That's your competition. That's it. It's not hard to be above average. If you run 30 minutes 3 times a week, that's literally making you above average. So I don't think women are willing to do the work. Can I go on a little tangent about cooking? Because women
Go
seem to
ahead.
act like this is, oh my God. Here's the thing, too. Women think that the world is ending if you cook for your man. They think it's oppressive. They think that they're like some sort of personal chef. We literally have air fryers, we have ovens, we have stoves. It's not that hard. And real talk, if you want to cook for a man, you don't need to have that much skill. So if you want to make him a sandwich, all you need is fresh ingredients. Bread from the bakery, you get that good boar's head, you get it sliced thin, you get his favorite meats, you figure out what kind of spread he wants on it. That is somehow for men a fabulous sandwich. If you want to put some wings in the air fryer, that's the best wings you could possibly make. They're the crunchiest. Okay, so you put it in there, put a little bit of salt and pepper. It's easy to cook for a man, and you're just cooking for him to say thank you or to remind him that he's not forgotten, because these male coworkers, they talk and they will stare at a man's lunch if his wife makes it for him. Now, cooking is just one part of it, but it's one of the things that a woman can easily do for a man that's supportive of him. They seem to receive it well. I don't know why. They just do.
Well, dude, I'll tell you why. Because I want to feel fucking loved. I'm a,
Aw.
I'm a, like men. We want to feel loved too. We're not just like fucking robots that are like must fucking make money and hand over to women. None of that shit. Like we are human too. Why would I want to date some cold hearted bitch? Like what would I subject myself to? All you're bringing to the table is your pussy. Every girl brings her pussy to the table. That pussy's everywhere. Girls are fucking sluts nowadays. Allie, I have gone on dates with chicks and I've bought them a fucking $5 Starbucks, and an hour later, I'm having unprotected sex with them. Don't advise my reckless behavior. I don't advise it. But when you constantly are going through this and seeing this, that's all you're bringing to the table. Your pussy is not valuable. Like not not you, but I'm saying girls in general
Yeah,
out
that's
there
good.
just think that like bringing vagina, like this sacred, this sacred fucking vagina is like no, it's you can get it everywhere. You can literally get it everywhere. So what
Hmm.
are you gonna do to set yourself apart from these chicks? And at the end of the day, guys, when we get in a relationship, we want to feel loved. We want to feel special. We like it when our girl touches our muscles and say, "You're so sexy. You're hot. You're smart. You do these things." Like it's normal. We want a fucking woman to tell us nice shit, just like women want to hear nice stuff from us. And everybody needs to get their fucking head out their ass and realize like men and women are better together. And yeah, like I don't want a woman that's gonna fucking give me like a bologna and cheese sandwich for lunch. Like I want to fucking eat good food. I want to eat grilled chicken. I want to eat some nice. I want you to make gnocchi for me. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
that's the big thing. And that's how women can stand out is by for me, my love language is a woman cooking for me, and then after she's done cooking, she cleans the kitchen. I'm like, oh, thank God, thank God, because I'll cook, but I despise doing the dishes. I just something about it. I fucking hate it. But and that goes back to like why I was saying earlier. That's how easy it is to catch a man. It really is. But they have these, this million
Hmm.
page checklist of what they want from men and what do they bring to the table. And again, I'm gonna get savage right now. What do they bring to the table? A used up vagina, a fucking laundry list of mental diseases, a bad attitude, and a fat body, and a fucking shitty personality. And you
Hmm.
want the perfect man, and that's what you're bringing to the table. You deserve to die alone. Like at that point, you deserve to die alone. And again, I have to get savage because that's the reality. And people need to understand if you want something high quality, like you said, with your friendships, you have to be high quality yourself.
Hmm.
If you're a woman and you're getting nothing but pumped and dumped and you're getting fucking shitty guys, you're just shitty guy after shitty guy after shitty guy, you need to look at the mirror and be like, okay, what am I doing wrong? Because this is my fault. Because I am the common equation here. But again,
Hmm.
women are allergic to accountability. Like I said, when I was dating this chick, right? You know, there was a constantly shit she was doing wrong, but her one fucking just like whore friend, misgender studies, was just like always like, no. Like you said, she believed that women have the pass to do whatever they fucking want and they should be able to get whatever they want. And it like
Hmm.
there are consequences for actions, men and women,
Hmm.
but especially with women. And they don't seem to know this. They think that like I'm trying to figure out where did they get this fucking delusion from because it makes no sense at all.
Hmm. It's just coming from indoctrination. It's going to come from society. It's going to come from schools. It's going to come from the movies. But mostly it's just coming from your mama. Your mom was the first model you have, because it's not just the two-parent household. It's also, was that marriage healthy? So if you just grow up and you see your mom taking your dad for granted, your dad's beta, most of the men in your family are beta, you just think that that's normal, that's what you should pursue. And then you're surprised when you end up on a girls trip and you end up cheating on him. Here's the thing, like, hypergamy is sneaky. There are some women, I'm not going to say most of them, there are some women that are absolutely shocked and caught off guard when they do have infidelity. They're like, why did I do that? And sometimes it's her fault, because she ended up betatizing her husband. I do see that happen quite a bit. And I look around at some of these miserable husbands and, like, their eyes are dead, and it's just because of their wives. But at the same time, like, I don't know necessarily that I feel that bad for him, because he's letting it happen. He is letting it happen. You can get frame and stay in your frame and have a harmonious relationship. But women also just don't believe that men are that simple. They think that they have to be much more complicated, because they're getting all their relationship advice from their other girlfriends.
Who are single.
So, yes, that are single, or just absolutely bananas, like psychologically single, but have a husband or have a boyfriend, the type of woman that won't go out of her way to do anything for her man. Okay, so that's who they're getting relationship advice from. And so they'll look at a text message from a man. So a man will say, I am not interested in going to the movies tonight. I'd rather go to dinner. And she's thinking, what does he really mean? What did I do wrong? Did I do something that made him not want to go to the movies? It's like, no, dude, he literally meant what he said. He just would rather get dinner. That's it. But then we'll take that message, we'll send it to our girlfriends, and then it goes through this like crazy psychotic filter. We get the response back, and we're like, oh, okay, maybe this is because I was not that pleasant on Tuesday. Maybe that's what it was. And it's not. I try to tell women all the time, take men and what they say at face value, but that also has to be a masculine man, because a feminine man is the kind that would play games with you, play games with your emotions, because that's girl game, that's girl technique. Why would you do that? If you're a confident masculine man, you say what you want. If you don't get it, then you just move on. You either get on the program or you don't. But women also haven't realized that they want masculine men, and masculine men are also a little bit hard to deal with. I mean, I've talked about that when it comes to my husband, but Donovan talked about it as well too, that they're just not as affectionate as women wish they could be. But that's part and parcel of the situation, because what made him so attractive and so successful is his masculinity. It is an adjustment, but women just have to believe that they can get what they want through femininity. It's that leap of faith, because, okay, you want all this stuff from a man. Seriously, sex, silence, sandwiches. He'll give you the world, but they just don't want to take the chance on it.
Yep. And again, like I said, it goes back to just like the indoctrination. It's so sad too, because it's fucking everywhere. It's like it's on TikTok, it's on Instagram, it's in the music. Like mainstream music tell girls like be a whore and you don't need fuck man. Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, I mean, all this mainstream shit is just like, how does anybody look at Cardi B and be like, that's a good role model? I don't get it. It blows my mind. But you have that. You have like, songs like Wet Ass Pussy, and it's just like no decency, no crass. It's just so crass. Like, it's very simple. Do you know what the backbone of value is?
Probably not. I'm stumped. Tell me.
Scarcity.
Okay. Ah, yes.
Right? Scarcity is the backbone of value. And if you're a girl and you give yourself to everybody, right? then what makes you special? Like what is sacred? Like my ex, right? I dated my ex a while ago. We dated 4 years. It was long. It was a good relationship. But I was the third guy she ever slept with, and I was the only non-Japanese guy she'd ever slept with. And so I knew that like I could go and she lived on the other side of the country. So I knew I could go anywhere in Tokyo and like I don't have to like be like, oh fuck, did this guy, fucking bang her. I knew that she was my special treasure. And that's what guys want. That's what we value, a girl who is like not giving herself to the world. And again, like when I talk about giving advice to girls, I say it's very simple. Shut your mouth and shut your legs. It's as like as savage as that is. Don't eat so much, don't talk so much, and just don't go out and give your body to the fucking world. And
Mhm.
you're literally better than 90% of women out there. It's that simple.
Mhm. Well, it goes down to that FOMO. We really think that we're missing something by missing out on hooking up with Chad and getting pumped and dumped. Seriously, we think that we're missing out on a Christmas surprise. The reality of it is not so good, but your girlfriends, they will post on Instagram and make it look glamorous. I cannot tell you how many times I have looked at a woman's Instagram and been like, oh my gosh, she's just living her best life. I wish my life was a little bit like that. Then I go to her apartment. She's a single mother. The apartment's dirty, and her man out here smashing the neighborhood. Every time, it's too easy to just take the lens off of these broads. But I think women are getting a little bit hip to the game because I think we're realizing that feminism, the sexual liberation movement, got us a raw deal. Because if you think about it, people want to dog on shotgun weddings, but they worked. And that's because men were expected to, if they got a woman pregnant, they had to assume the responsibility of a husband and a father. Now we don't have that. Now he can do child support. By the way, women, he doesn't have to pay child support if he works under the table. If you get pregnant by a scumbag, rest assured that that may occur. And there's just so many different perspectives to have on it. I can't even. I think I lost my train of thought. I got really excited. I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good. That's part of being a
Mhm.
live streamer. MGTOW by
Mhm.
Logic 998 super chat. Ladies, hypergamy only works when he picks you back to men are humans. We get to choose too. Yeah, that's true there. But yeah,
Mhm.
you talk about Instagram, the delusion of Instagram, right? Like
Mhm.
they glorify, or they pretend that their shit is awesome because they're so embarrassed. They're so, dude.
Yeah.
I've met girls that I know that are pretending like they're happy, pretending like their life is the shit, pretending so much, and they go home and they fucking cry themselves to sleep. Because yeah,
Mhm.
and this is very, very, very common. So that's why I tell the guys, because on my side of the fence, helping the men out, they are just so like they're intimidated by these girls because women are master marketers and master actresses, and they can act
Mhm.
like they know shit. They can act like they have shit put together, but they don't. They really, but when you dig and you
Yeah.
look behind the scenes, they don't. Like I said, the chick that I was dating that was always talking like she was the shit, like, how all these men are garbage and blah blah blah. I'm like, no, your
Mhm.
apartment is literally garbage. Like you live in a dumpster. And you
Oh
know what's
yeah.
funny? Because I am actually a decent person. I helped pay for someone to fucking clean up her entire apartment and got her back on the straight and narrow. But she was sipping that feminism Kool-Aid and it just got too much. And I was just like, okay, you gotta go. Like I just fucking
Oh
can't do
yeah.
this.
Feminism
It's
is contagious.
mm,
Mhm. I had to go through a little bit of a cognitive rewiring because coming from my background where I actually was oppressed as a child. So when I got into a relationship with my husband and I had never been with an assertive man before, these
the current
boundaries.
husband.
Yes, yes, my husband now, Tom. His boundaries would look like abuse, and I'm like, "This sounds really crazy. I don't think I'm seeing this for what it is." And it took some time for me to look at, "Oh, okay, well, that's what masculinity is. This is not in any way abuse. This is just him having some standards." And women have a problem with that. I'm serious, because I mean, men, if you're watching, set a couple of boundaries that might be firm that she is not content with. She will start thinking that you're abusive and text her girlfriends, and they're going to say the same thing. It's a negative feedback loop. But I remembered what I wanted to say earlier is that the shotgun wedding situation, how it
Oh yeah.
actually worked, and how women lose in the sexual liberation movement. By the way, we are losing because we have convinced ourselves that we enjoy sex as much as men in the same way. That's just not how our bodies work. But also, termination of pregnancy is free. So we took all the standards and the responsibilities off of men, and then we also took standards and responsibilities off of us. We have absolutely no skin in the game when it comes to having sex. Whereas before, if you had the possibility of pregnancy, well, you might want to be very selective on who you choose to sleep with. And they want to say shaming women is so bad. Honestly, it worked because when we get fathers out of the homes, it does not benefit society. It is literally life or death because we're raising criminals.
Yeah.
That's kind of the problem here. But we can take it back as women. I think we can take it back if we start coming out, talking to women and explaining what birth control can do to them. For example, women don't know this and they're on birth control. Birth control changes the way that you smell a man's immune system. So you get on birth control to have unprotected sex because that's the only reason a woman gets on birth control majority of the time. Sometimes there's hormonal things, but that's a minority demographic. So you get on this birth control, you're in a relationship, all of a sudden you get off of it because you're ready to have kids with this man. But then you're not as physically attracted to him anymore. It's very damaging and it alters our mate selection choices significantly. So I'm trying to get women off the pill and just on the rationality because abstinence is an option. Believe it or not, it totally exists, but they're not made aware. I don't think their medical providers even talk to them about it. Like a woman will turn 15 and she'll get put on the pill immediately. It just opens the door to sex without consequences. But then check this out though. If a 15 or 16-year-old boy gets a girl pregnant, well, then he needs to man up. He needs to own up to it. He better be on child support for the next 18 years. It's just not equal opportunity. And I'm hopeful that women are becoming aware because they're coming to these platforms. They're coming to my platform. They're coming to Rebecca Barrett's platform. They're coming to Chantel Simone. We want to know why we're messing up. And every day I get more women showing up on my channel. I don't have a lot. Right now I'm sitting at 22.5% of my viewers or subscribers are women, but it was 13%. So women are figuring it out. It's just marriage minded women that are coming, and also married women who want to validate their husbands. Your average woman is not making it over to the side of YouTube because she's too caught up with her Tinder matches.
Yeah, it's like I said, I do think that women are starting to slowly wake up, but I still think the majority of them are asleep. Right? I don't know. Do you watch the Fresh and Fit After Hours show?
Yes, I went on there once. It was fun. I like them. I know that women are coming out. They're misogynists. You know, I've worked with enough red pill men that if you act like a lady, you get treated like one. So they can suck on that.
You got to send me the episode. I want to watch the one you're on there.
Mhm.
But no, I think there's a bad perspective of women that go on that show because obviously you went on there because you're a content creator. I'm assuming, yeah,
Mhm.
right. But good girls, like they're not out late at night, like looking to go on a fucking podcast to like get clout. Like good girls are at home in bed by like 10 p.m., 9 p.m. Like another thing is this, like, because the guys who think like, all girls are cheating sluts, it's so simple to factor in that look at the majority of the women you've approached as a man, and the majority of them have rejected you because that's just how it works as a man. But they can't even put that two and two together, right? So that's why, like, I always tell guys, like, stay away from the toxic content, stay away from like the all women are fucking sluts content, because like you're gonna go through life miserable, super miserable. I will tell you this: the best sex I've ever had in my life has been with women that I've been in love with. The best.
Mhm.
Random, like I've literally been trying to like go through like my sexual checklist of chicks that I've had like mind-blowing sex with, and literally out of like the 200 plus chicks, the ones that are at the front of my mind were all girls that I had relationships with. And I think guys are kind of sold a lie to an extent. Like, yeah, it's fun. Like, I think it's good for guys. It is because it is an accomplishment for a guy to go out and fuck a bunch of girls because it's hard to do. It is hard to
Mhm.
do. There's no skill involved. A girl can walk into a bar, like Patricia said, like grunt and point at her crotch, and a guy will fuck her. If a guy goes into a bar, grunts and points at his crotch, they're gonna fucking shoot him, and then they're gonna start a GoFundMe campaign for every girl that saw him. You know, so it is sort of a badge of honor for men. But I will say that I've seen the end of the road, and I see this is why, and this is going to get a little dark. I don't know if you're involved to the extent that I am, but this is why you see these PUA guys going into their 40s, losing their mind and killing themselves.
Oh, I didn't
You
know
know,
that.
there's a lot of these guys killing themselves. Roosh
Mhm.
V is like all about Jesus now. Like he's
Mhm.
off the fucking wall. Mystery has daily breakdowns on his fucking public forums. This guy Tom Carrero, in his 40s, just killed himself. Why? One-itis for a chick. Because what PUA does, it teaches guys how to get sex, but the chicks that are typically given out the sex that easily are sluts and or broken.
Mhm.
Also, it doesn't teach these guys how to be men, how to understand female nature beyond seduction. I'm talking about day to day maintaining the relationship, right?
Mhm.
Establishing boundaries, helping her feel safe, being a man, providing, taking care of her, right? They don't teach these things in PUA courses because guys are fucking TLDR these. It's just how do I get pussy? How do I get pussy? How do I get pussy?
Mhm.
And even when I put out content that's like about the deep understanding of female nature, it doesn't get nearly as much clicks. And I'm like, this fucking slut is gonna quit OnlyFans. And so, it is what it is, but like
Mhm.
that's the world we live in. And I think that's the side that I'm trying to fix on the men's side is like, I'm telling you, endlessly fucking a bunch of girls is not the answer. It means nothing if you don't have a woman to go home that loves you. And like, yes, I do think love is real, not in like the Disney sense, but like having a good connection with a decent woman. Like I said,
Mhm.
I when I went from fucking literally living in a rat infested guest house in Tokyo to a millionaire, I had an amazing woman by my side for 4 years,
Mhm.
right? And she's my ex girlfriend now, but like I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie. I think a big part of my success was having a good decent woman by my side. I don't have to worry. Is she cheating? What fucking dude is she texting? Am I gonna have to go to a club and see some fucking dude that fucked her that we're out? What is she doing? Are her girlfriend shit talking me? Like going through this laundry list of like fucking garbage that I
Mhm.
don't want to waste my finite mental bandwidth on. I want to focus on getting rich as fuck because that's my personal goal. But whatever the man's goal is, maybe he wants to fucking open a CrossFit gym. Maybe he wants to climb Mount Everest, right? There's
Mhm.
a Brazilian jiu-jitsu champion, and he won the championship, and his girlfriend got on her hands and knees, and every morning he practiced a Brazilian jiu-jitsu move 100 times on the left side of her head and then 100 times on the right side. For you guys watching, she let him triangle choke him 100 times on the left side with the left arm, and then 100 times on the right arm on the right side. And every moment, this is a very vicious move to be put into. And that man won the fucking global championships because he had a decent woman by his side.
Mhm.
Every wonderful thing that men have done in this life has been for a woman, and usually guys who actually get a lot of good shit done, I'm not surprised if there's a decent woman by their side. Like
Mhm.
it's the most disheartening thing too. In 2015, I dated a girl who told me this dream that I'm living right now was not possible. She told me like, you are delusional. You are never gonna make this money off of YouTube. You're never gonna make anything come out of your life. Like you need to go get a job. You're delusional. And because I loved her at the time, I was dumb enough to believe her. Dude, I dumped that bitch like a bad habit, and she is drinking herself to death on some island right now. Not gonna lie, kind of happy.
Oh, me too. Me too. All my dusty ex-boyfriends who took my femininity for granted that now they're fat with a dad bod. I'd be
Mm-hmm.
kicking back and looking. I'm like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I like it. So, but yeah, like these chicks. I have a clip I want to show you from TikTok, and I
Okay.
found this. It has 2,100 likes, 500 something comments, and I just want you to tell me what you think is going on through this chick's head, because this chick, in my opinion, is so completely out of touch with reality. And this is what I noticed with most chicks is like they legit just fucking they hate men. And this is here. Let me know if you can hear the audio because I'm doing this through my soundboard.
I know that no one's gonna see
Okay.
this, but like, I don't care. I'm gonna post it anyway. Every day that goes by, I realize that I just don't like men. And I can say that because I'm 30 and I have had enough experiences over the last 10 to 12, maybe even 15 years of being with boys, men, dating. Also, have worked in strip clubs for 9 years. I was an exotic dancer for 9 years. And before you say, oh, well, yeah, of course you don't like men from the club, they're so crummy. No, baby. You might think that scummy guys go to the club. It's not scummy people, it's your dad, your uncle, your neighbor, your lawyer, your doctor, your brother. All those people go to the club. And I have seen the worst of how men behave. And before you say, oh, yeah, of course they're going to behave like that because they're in that environment, I honestly think that the way these men behave in these settings is really the core of who they are. They don't show this, they repress it, and that's why they go to an environment or to, a place of business where they can be themselves and they can sexualize women, be rude to them. I mean, granted, some of them are really amazing. Anyway, that's just one part of the story. I'm married. I'm 30 years old. Like I said, I've been with my husband for 9 years, and we've been married for almost 6. I don't like him most of the time, and he knows this. He knows this. Love him. I care about him. I just tolerate him. He knows this. He loves me to death, but it's just the way things are based on everything that we've been through. And he's a really great guy. He really is. He just can't come through for me. And you know what? Nobody ever has. And it's not because I ask for too much. It's not because I'm just never happy with anything. I just truly believe that men just do not want to put forth the effort that it takes to maintain relationships and maintain a family and maintain a household. Like, women are always picking up the slack everywhere we go, and we're just so fucking exhausted. And then we get called emotional when we lash out, but like, I don't know. Based on the things that I read men say, especially on the internet, and other women saying these things as well, I know I'm not the only one. Men suck, and I'm ready to be a lesbian.
Oh, well, can you imagine waking up next to that every day?
I mean, damn. Oh my gosh. Let me make a video like that about my husband. He would leave me tomorrow, serve me the divorce paperwork. Bye. Have a good
Mhm.
time, stupid. Oh man.
So like that, like what do you like? So okay, here's what I noticed. Right, first
Mhm.
things first. Obvious largest red flag. She's a stripper. Okay, I don't care what anybody says. I'm not going to try to be politically correct. There has to been a series of bad traumatic events that have happened to you for you to be like, okay, I'm going to be a stripper, let alone I'm going to be a stripper for 9 years.
Mhm.
Number 2, second largest red flag, the husband married a stripper.
You know, he did it to himself. He did it to himself. Like, don't get me wrong, I feel bad for Kanye because Kim is really doing him dirty. At the same time, what did you expect, brother? You married Kim Kardashian.
Yep.
I mean,
You married
but my
a
perspective,
literal whore. A literal whore. You married her and you're like, oh my God.
just putting my daughter on TikTok. Who could have foreseen this? Like, dude, she had cameras in her family's house for 12 years for money. No value privacy or any of that. Also, I mean, let's talk about how non-maternal some of these women are to the point where they're getting surrogates back to back to back because they can't be inconvenienced with pregnancy. But that's a conversation for a different time. My perspective on this TikTok woman is that she didn't get who she wanted. This is why I recommend for women to pursue the wholesome Chad if you can. You have to think, if you think you're meeting Prince Charming at 26, lock it down. What are you waiting for? Because better might not come around the corner. I used to think that if I
The
went
odds are
out
not
there
for
and
you.
yeah, yeah. Well, I used to think that my perspective was if I wanted to leave my husband, I probably might be able to get someone better, maybe, but all that glitters is not gold. But in my perspective, it was a 50-50 shot. And I was not willing to take that chance because I really love what I have. But now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think I need to feel bad in saying that I legitimately think he's the best I can do. And I don't think that's negative. I think
No.
that I got exactly what I deserved. I think that the dating economy is the most fair economy, and what you put in is what you will get out. So she's mad because she ended up with beta bucks. Well, that's on you because you made decisions that altered your competition status in the dating market for the rest of your life. That's the problem with modern women is they want to make decisions, but they don't want to assume accountability for any of the consequences. But the consequences are going to be there whether you admit it or not. And that's what they aren't prepared for, because they want to say, oh, I made mistakes, I was dating around, I was a single mother, but I'm different now. And it's too late, honey. I'm sorry. That's just how the cookie crumbles. That's why I try to get my message out there to young women who are 18 to 19. But think about how frustrating that must be for a woman, that I felt uncomfortable in saying that I think my husband is the best I can do, because somehow that would make me like a lower value person. But no, I really think he answers the hypergamous question, and at least I don't have to live like that lady on TikTok talking about how much I hate my husband on the internet and expecting him to stay there and pay the bills. Girl, please. And she'd be the first one to complain if he cheats and try to divorce him and take half his stuff. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, because guys, we settle too. Like, it's not, look, like the girl that I've dated, like I've never dated a girl that's perfect. And every girl has flaws. And I think it's just pure arrogance and pure fucking, like I said, going back to the word, like the word that I can clearly sum up the majority of all modern women is delusional. Delusional. They are not living in reality. Like, there are girls that I've dated that I've been like, "Ah, I just wish she had a rounder ass, or I just wish she had bigger tits, or I just wish, she fucking, didn't bang this dude or bang that dude, or going through this." Like, we compromise too. But I think the bottom line is feminism has totally lied to women, and it's totally taught them that they can have whatever they want. And so it's you got your work cut out for you. The good news is you're never going to run out of clients. That's for
Oh.
sure.
Well, that's a little bit different. So most women actually don't want to change. I actually don't get that many coaching clients. I don't coach for profit because it's not a profitable model to tell women the truth about themselves. I
Mhm.
offer it in case the one or two show up and they want some help. That way I can be of service in some capacity. But most women don't want to hear this stuff. Most women don't want to hear that they got to put in work to get to a higher quality dude. And most women also don't want to accept their worth or their value. You'll see this a lot when women gain 150 pounds when they get married, they get divorced, and then they lose the 150 pounds. And they'll say, look at this, look at what he left. Like, no, girl, he did not leave the small you, he left the big you. But women don't want to accept that, yeah, maybe the best you can do is the gas station clerk. Maybe that's where you're at, honey. It's going to be the same thing with men. Some men don't want to accept that they are only worth the obese woman. Now, I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's
Mhm.
fair that women have so much leverage that they can literally be twice the size of a man and still bag a dude who looks attractive. I think that's kind of messed up. But that's the reality of the situation. So if you want a girl with a flat tummy, just do some work. Do some work.
Yep. Yeah, the thing is, what I've noticed too with American chicks, and mostly American chicks, is right. They think the only thing they need to bring to the table is being sexy, and they take it to the extreme. They super sexualize themselves. But I dated this girl for a while, right? And we were having sex all night, and then the next morning I woke up and I said, "Hey," and she was 30. Okay, I was like,
Mhm.
"Hey, cook me some breakfast. I want eggs and bacon." And I handed her the package of bacon. She's 30 and she's like, "I don't know how to cook bacon. And I've never cooked bacon in my life." I was like, "What? You've never cooked bacon?" And it's just like the simple things. And it's just, I don't even know how these chicks live. It just proves to you how easy it is to win in life. Like, if you really want to be above average, like they don't
Mhm.
know how to, it's just the simplest things. They can't even do it. And again,
Mhm.
it's just, it all goes back to broken families, broken chicks. It blows my mind. It just truly blows my mind.
Mhm.
um
Agree.
so I think we're gonna wrap it up here. I think we had a wonderful show. I truly want to thank you so much for coming on here.
Mhm.
um Definitely keep in touch, guys. Go check her out. She's putting out good content. I do watch some of her content. I think you are doing good work. I think, look, there are girls out there that are thirsty for this, and They need it. They need it more than ever. I think you're going to be really popular. I think you're going to have
Thank
a
you.
lot of clients. I think you have a bright future. You are a smart chick, and this is not like, oh, she's a woman, so I gotta be nice to her. Like, you actually are pretty fucking smart. And I appreciate you coming on. We'll be back tomorrow, guys. King Dre had to reschedule. Tomorrow will not be a wholesome show. We're talking about the hoe phase. But come on down, and we're gonna talk about why women go into the hoe phase, why modern women do it, and how they realize it's a bad thing for them too late at the end of it all. So until then, boys, we'll see you next time.